Okay. I think we can get underway. So today, the webinar we're gonna have today, we're talking about the professional master's degrees in our department in civil construction and environmental engineering. So this invite went out to seniors in our department, and we're trying to, given all the uncertainty right now with, jobs and career prospects and everything, start dates and things, just getting a chance to kind of talk to you about what the professional master's degrees we have in the department, and just to make people more aware of those programs and the flexibility and benefits that they offer. So in our department, we have two types of master's degrees. And so the first one that people might think of first is the Masters of Science. So this is a research-focused master's degree that includes courses as well as, a thesis and a thesis defense with a committee. And the focus of that is for preparing graduate students for either further graduate education towards a PhD and or for, more research-based careers, potentially in industry, and in government. And so that's not, what we're going to talk about today, though, is our Masters of Civil Engineering and Environmental Engineering. So we'll call those the MCE and the ME&E degrees. And so these are non-thesis course-based master's degrees. And the goal here is to provide, an advanced engineering education to kind of further your professional development, or, further your career and kind of your skills and knowledge into more advanced topics that you may not be able to cover in a bachelor's degree. And these programs can be completed on or off campus, as well as a combination of both, depending on what your situation is. And we're going to talk more about the potential pathways and situations you may be in, and kind of the flexible options that may be available to you. And so will be our focus for the rest of the presentation. So, right now you're thinking about, why should you get a professional master's degree? What's the benefit of these? So it's this idea of there's a chance to increase your knowledge and skills and your qualifications to improve your potential job opportunities, so you'll be qualified for more or different positions. And this can provide a depth and a breadth of knowledge. So you can go into advanced topics, perhaps in, just an example, in water treatment or in construction that you didn't necessarily get to cover during your bachelor's degree, as well as gain a breadth of knowledge if there's some area that, you'd like to move into, but, you really want to have that kind of, educational basis to claim that, you have an understanding of this area that maybe you didn't focus on as much in your bachelor's degree. Also, they're just a good investment. And so there are ways to get federal aid for some of these degrees. Employers will often help pay for them, but even if you pay for it itself, there is a good, on average, a good improvement in mean salaries for civil environmental engineers that occurs with these degrees. And the other thing, besides the degrees themselves, is we have excellent professional development courses, workshops, seminars on just kind of really practical topics, like how to job interviews, professional networking, effective writing and editing, as well as time management. So these are just a lot of options available to our graduate students to really help further your career and find ways to, advance and, just develop your skills and your opportunities. So just a quick overview. So the course requirements for the degrees, it's 10 3-unit courses, so it's 30 hours. And some of the on-campus programs may require a 1-unit seminar. It's not much of a burden. It's typically about a weekly sort of thing where you learn about, new research in your specific area. So you can start this any semester, including the summer. So if this was something you were really interested in and you're a May graduate, you could start as early as summer 2020. And we do have all of the summer courses this year will be distance education. And there are several different options for courses that you could take this summer in order to start your master's degree. And so in order to do the master's degree, so you'll choose an area of specialization, and environmental engineering and civil, they each have their own list of about 7 different areas of specialization, you know, similar to the ones that you have for your bachelor studies as well. And you're going to be assigned an advisor, and you'll develop you'll develop an individual plan of work with that assigned advisor. So when you're coming up with those 10 courses, you know, there's this opportunity to kind of make it flexible enough to meet your career goals. So it could be focused on, you know, whether it's water treatment and computing systems, so modeling associated with that, or kind of mixes, appropriate mixes of, you know, process engineering or, you know, other areas of civil and environmental engineering, kind of coming up with a whole that works for, you know, what you're trying to do. And in order to graduate, you do need a 3.0 at the end of your master's program. So we did outline these few potential pathways that you may have depending where you are in trying to find a job. So you may have, you know what your employment is, and you know what your start date is certain. You may know that you're going to start a job, but maybe the start date got a little less certain because of, you know, everything going on with the pandemic and things. And maybe the whole thing is uncertain and you're not really sure when your employment's going to start, or you're not decided about what you want to do employment wise. And so there's different potential pathways for getting a degree in those situations, as well as for funding those degrees. And so to start with, let's look at, so if you know your employment status, you know the start date, that's all certain. Then you can just begin with your MCE or ME&E online through Engineering Online. The online program is designed for working professionals. That, I mean, is the focus of it. Students typically take 1 class per semester, so maybe 3 courses per year, including a summer course. And a lot of employers will provide support for these courses. It may or may not cover all of your classes, but there's typically support from most of the engineering employers that we've talked to in the area offer some sort of help, and or you could always self-fund. With the online degrees, there isn't really federal student support available. But typically, if you're in that situation where you are working full-time, most jobs are going to have some sort of reimbursement plan for at least to cover some of those costs. So now if your unemployment or your start date is uncertain, then you have more flexibility. So for one thing, you could just still begin with that online MCE or ME&E program and just continue that when your job starts. So this may be beneficial if you're, you know, nowhere near Raleigh, or if you're still planning on moving or moving back home. And so you can just start with the online program, and then just when you do get a job, when you do get a job, you can just continue on with that program and finish it online. So that's one option. The other option, if you don't have a job already lined up, and you can be in Raleigh, you can just start as an on-campus student, and when and if you get that job, you can transfer to an online degree. So, I think this is really important flexibility that's offered. If you're an on-campus student, you're not stuck with that, so you don't have to avoid job opportunities or anything like that. There's this flexibility that you can always transfer to the online program, if you do happen to get, a job that you really want to start, or if you just move out of the area after that anyways. And so typically, if you're on campus, your students will take up to 4 classes. Generally, it could be any number lower than that. So, if you're doing this mix of on-campus and off-campus, you could maybe knock out 4 or 8 classes, and then you don't have to take nearly as much online, and it could greatly speed up your time to completion. So if you are an on-campus student, there is federal aid that you may be eligible for and can apply for to potentially reduce the costs. And then when and if your employment starts, you may be able to get similarly support from your employer. So just kind of people may not know what our graduate programs, online graduate programs look like. You may have a better idea. Since the last 2 weeks, we've had to switch everything online very quickly. But basically, these programs are offered entirely online, so you never have to come to campus if you don't want to, so they can be taken, people take it from all across the country and never set foot on campus. The courses, the degrees, everything is the exact same as, what you would take on campus. It's the same lectures and assignments and instructors, and also the same rigor. So, it's certainly no easier to be an online student than an on-campus student. And, you can also take individual courses before getting your master's degree as an option. And our civil and environmental engineering programs, so for 100% online degrees, are actually ranked 1 in 5 nationally. And we've been doing distance education in the college for the last, since the late 70s, I believe. Back then it was like VHS tapes and such. But now everything has moved online. So we really do, as a department and as a college, have a lot of experience with distance education and designing these programs to work with working engineers to advance their careers. So like I mentioned before at the beginning, we do have several options for graduate professional development, support for that in the department. So we have a lot of workshops and events covering job interviews and networking, writing, time management, and kind of all these practical requirements for moving your career forward. So everything outside of technical knowledge that you really need to advance your engineering career. And we offer a lot of opportunities in that area to kind of improve. And so we also have 2 courses, and one is every fall and spring on campus, and that's advanced communication for engineering research. That's for typically people focusing on research career and our doctoral students primarily. And 590 is professional engineering communication for our master's students, and that's offered online through engineering education. And so that is primarily focused for our professional engineering students to kind of gain ability in professional communication. And that's one of the things we hear a lot from with our industry folks that we have partnerships with at the department. Getting students to have that communication skills is really important for, finding and keeping jobs, and your ability, to write and communicate properly, both in written and oral form. Is something that we see very much stressed by, companies looking for recruiting right now. So the application requirements. So if this is something that you're interested in, the application is actually pretty straightforward. All of you in this will soon have a bachelor's degree from an accredited program in civil or environmental engineering. You do need a GPA of at least 3.0. And to apply, there can be different exemptions, and there can be other ways forward if your GPA is slightly lower than that. And certainly reach out to us if you end up in a position like that, but you're still really interested in applying. And so your final completed application, you'll need transcripts. You'll need to write a statement of purpose, like why are you trying to get this degree? What does this do for you in your career? A resume, and 3 letters of recommendation. So all told, it's not a very onerous application, and it can be pretty quick to get through and doesn't require too much besides the statement of purpose. You'll want to put some thought into that. And finally, people will certainly ask about costs, and this is the current cost for distance education. So this is for the off-campus. And so it's about $1,540 per 3-unit course for distance education. It'll be slightly lower for on-campus students due to the fees and such. And so with that, so it's generally, employers will typically cover 1 or 2 courses per year in the companies I've talked to. And so, that would be open whenever you discuss with them, your different benefits and such. So finally, I just wanted to show you some resources that we offer, different links to the professional development program, an overview of the MCE and ME&E program. We also have a YouTube channel, and there's more on distance education if you go to the third bullet. And with that, what we really wanted this to be was focused on kind of your questions and discussion. So if you've come up with any questions, you can, I think you can raise a hand or add a comment in the chat, and we can address those now. Thank you. So the first question was application deadlines for starting in the summer or fall. So if your application deadline, if you wanted to start in the fall, you'd probably want things in by the start of July. Later can happen. It's just, you want time for everybody to be able to go through things. Earlier would be better. If you do really want to start in the summer, you should probably get those in soon. The summer session does start in the middle of May. So, certainly in the next couple of weeks or so, I think would be good to have those in if you want to apply for the summer. Yeah, the written deadline is March 25th, but with everything going on, with everything going on, we can make adjustments on the fly and everything. And it's just a matter of, if you really do want to start the summer session, you should probably move to get those things in as soon as possible. At least start an application, and so we can review things. But there is still time to start in the summer now. But that window is going to shrink, obviously.
Yeah, Jim, let me add to that. You saw the list of things that application typically asks for, but you can get the main thing started while you're waiting for something else. That's fine once you get the application in, especially for summer. If you wait till everything is lined up, there may not be much time, so you can get your application started as soon as, if that's what you want to do, get it in, and then other information could be added as time goes by. We just have to have a student enrolled by the first day of classes. And since all of y'all are here and you're NC residents, it's fairly quick to go through that process. Most of it is internal, so you should be able to do that. So, and if you have any concerns about timing and certain elements of your application, just reach out to one of us, and we can walk you through, or we'll see whether some of those things could be waived. That depends on your area of study. Like if you want to be in construction versus structures versus transportation, we can look at what the requirements in those sub areas could be, and sometimes certain things that they would be willing to make a decision with the application only partially complete. So.
Yeah, so if this is something you want to get the application in, or get the application started, and so then we'll see that you're in the system, and so you don't need to wait till you know who your 3 letters of recommendation are. You can just start getting the ball rolling, and we can kind of work from there. There's a question about GRE requirements. You're not required to take the GRE for either of these programs. As graduates from our programs, you don't need a GRE for either of these programs.
Yeah, and now even the transcript. So since you're from NC State, you don't really have to do anything because we can get the transcript from the system. So so primarily just talk to some of the instructors with whom you have worked with, and who know you can write a recommendation letter and a statement that just describes why you want to pursue it, and then it'll be good to go.
Yeah,
Typical.
I think that makes sense. So we have a question about completion time. So if you're doing just in-person classes, it's possible to do it um, 4-4-2. There are students who take 4 classes in spring and fall semesters. You could take 2 classes in summer, and so it's capable of being completed in that full calendar year. But then it's probably more typical that it's, I would say, 3, or potentially. But I mean, that is kind of up to you and the load that you're capable of taking with everything else going on. For online classes, so a lot of people who are in the online program are working full time. And if you're working full time, we strongly recommend starting with a single course, just to see how it fits into your schedule. There are certainly people who can succeed at taking 2 courses while working full time. It's doable. It's just not something you necessarily want to just jump into. So then if you're doing, 2 a semester, it would take you 2 years or so. And obviously if you're doing 1, it would take you, upwards of 3 or 4. So any combination thereof between 1 and 4 years, depending on how you mix it.
Yeah, I think one of the questions about starting in summer, in the announcement that came about and the link to the website, the courses that are offered, the graduate courses that are offered this summer are listed. They're not all the courses that's in the summer. We only offer a few of the courses. So depending on your area of specialty, like whether you want to be in geotech or construction, transportation, and so on, depending on that, some of those courses would directly count towards it. So if you are planning to do that, just talk to one of us to make sure those courses would count towards your plan of study. The curriculum is flexible, unlike the undergraduate curriculum is fairly specified with electives, of course, but it's so specified. Here it's mostly customized for each of you, depending on your background, what courses you have taken before, and what direction you want to go in your graduate studies, and the course mix will be defined in consultation with an advisor. But if you take any graduate course, doesn't necessarily mean it'll count towards your graduate plan for that specialty area. So, so if you're planning to take any of the summer courses, please do consult with us. Don't just plan to take that and assume that it'll count towards your area plan of work. So just consult with us and make sure that you're not taking something that might not be counted eventually. So we listed the ones that we know are available for now. And other thing that are also implied in that website is that you can take courses outside the department. It's not all have to be civil engineering courses. So you could take complementary courses from other programs, for example, statistics, marine earth and atmospheric sciences, depending on a background, GIS, and so on. So there are some other courses that are also available online or some kind of distance mode. You could also take those. We are giving you the listing, the links to all the other engineering courses, as well as all courses that are available online through distance mode. So there are several questions coming up there.
Yeah, so the question about advisors. So yeah, you'll be given an advisor after you're appointed to the program. right after the start of your first semester. And so it'll be somebody, depending on who is, typically well aligned with, the sorts of things you're interested in, to kind of help guide you, to choosing your classes and everything.
The in that website too, we have listed a faculty member by each area. So if you're not sure, your advisor, your undergraduate advisor may or may not be in an area that you want to specialize for your graduate studies. You can certainly talk with your advisor, current advisor, but if you're not sure whether that person is the right person because they're not in your desired area of interest, you could reach out to the person listed in that website, or you can please reach out to one of us, and we can navigate through that. That's you got plenty of ways to navigate this.
Yeah, so you would want to talk to somebody probably before picking your first classes, just to make sure they're going to fit with your program. So you can always reach out to those the area contacts, or us, for your specific program area. And really it's because with that plan of work, we don't want you just taking, courses kind of willy-nilly across the department. We want it to be a structured plan that kind of, moves you forward in a coherent way towards your career goals.
And you see Jody Grigorish on the chat line, and she's logged in. She's the graduate services coordinator. She's kind of the counterpart of Tony Pascucci for graduate studies. Certainly, if any procedural questions, things like that, she'll have the best information. With respect to course selection and so on, she might be able to point you in the right direction, or curriculum related things, or like we said, just reach out to one of us.
Are there any other questions? Comments? Okay, well, if there's nothing else, or if you do have any questions, as soon as we hang up, you think of something, just shoot us an email, and we can respond and let you know, as soon as we can. You can reach out to us and the other contacts on the webpage. We appreciate you being here, and we're definitely, excited to have these opportunities to provide for our students. And so, thanks for taking the time to learn more. And seriously, if you have just any questions about anything, just reach back out to us and we'll try to help you out. Great. Thanks.